Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today, Ross Marchigiani, with another great conversation at revowell.com. Today we're going to be talking about ketosis. We'll be talking about what ketosis is, we'll be talking about 3 reasons why it's great for fat loss, some foods that will be on the ketosis diet, and then some common issues. I hope you're ready to get started. Let's dive in. So what exactly is ketosis? Well, for a lack of better words, it's kind of tricking the body into a starvation state. But really all we're doing is we're changing our primary fuel source. So typically our primary fuel source in the regular diet is going to be carbohydrates. From here, all we're doing is we're transferring from carbohydrate as our main energy source to using fats and a little bit of proteins as our primarily as our energy source. So what happens is we switch to using fat, and that's going to trigger more gluconeogenesis. All that is that it's using other byproducts to produce carbohydrates, or to produce glucose, to produce glucose. And what that happens is we're going to take these fatty acids, or these triglycerides, and we'll use the carnitine shuttle. And the carnitine shuttle is basically just a bus transport. It's able to transport the fatty acid into the mitochondria where all the action happens. Fatty acids are unable to get to that mitochondria by itself, so it needs that carnitine shuttle to get to the mitochondria. Once it's in the mitochondria, now we're going to produce what's called beta oxidation. And beta oxidation is just taking a longer chain carbon and then cleaving it into 2 carbons. So it's just basically like dicing up, the carbon chain. And it'll produce 2 carbons, also known as acetyl-CoA. And then acetyl-CoA will start to build up to the point where the body's like, okay, we've got too much acetyl-CoA, we need to start using this and shifting this in another energy source. And that's when we start creating ketones, mainly 3 ketones. First one, acetoacetate. Second one, beta-hydroxybutyrate. And the third one, which is a little more volatile, is acetone. But all of these will alter our pH, which we'll talk about later on. And then from there, it'll take from the liver, where the acetoacetate and the beta-hydroxybutyrate are produced, it'll take it and put it into the Krebs cycle, where we'll get all of our energy production, which will be for our brain, our heart, our skeletal muscle, which will be primarily used for ketones. And then what our diet is mainly going to consist of here. We want to make sure we have a diet that's about 5% carbs, 60% fat, and about 35% protein. So as you can tell, fat is our main source there. And just to give you a little idea of what 5% carbs is, that's about less than 50 grams per day of carbohydrate, which equates to about 3 slices of bread. But again, on your based on your physical activity level, this may change. You might be able to have more carbs the more your physical activity level is increased. How we can assess for ketosis. Typically what I do is a BK, or a blood ketone measurement. So you take a glucose meter or some type of meter, grab a ketone strip, put it in there, get your reading of ketones in your blood, and it should typically be between 0.5 and 3 millimeters per deciliter of ketones circulating in the blood to be in ketosis. You can also use urine sticks, or you could use like a breath meter, a breathalyzer, such as like a Ketonix. These are going to be less quantitative because they're going to give you like a color chart reading to let you know if you're in ketosis. I just like to see a hard number. And then 3 reasons why this is great for fat loss. So first, we're using fat as our fuel. We're using triglyceride, which is our storage hormone for fat, and we're mobilizing that as energy, and we're using that fat as energy. So we're taking our stored fat and we're mobilizing it and using that as our primary fuel. Next reason why, we have stable blood glucose. So we don't have that blood glucose constantly undulating up and down, up and down. It's a more steady stream, so we're not having crashes in energy. We're not having these random food cravings. We're just even keel. And then the third reason is we're not spiking insulin, or insulin isn't dropping. Again, insulin dropping, creating food cravings, or insulin spiking. If we jack up that insulin is a storage hormone, mainly a fat storage hormone. So if we have high insulin and we have extra fuel, it's going to take that fuel and store it as fat. And then some common foods that are going to be really good on the ketogenic diet are going to be avocado, MCT oil, clarified butter, and coconut oil. Those are going to be really good sources. Let's dive into our common misconceptions here. Or common issues, excuse me. So typically, ketosis at most will take about 3 to 4 weeks to get the body adapted to using ketones as its main fuel source. So just be aware of that. It's going to take a little bit of time, and you need to work at it to get into that ketogenic state. Some side effects that may come with it is the big one is going to be that like headaches or brain fog. Making sure we're really hydrated is crucial, and then also increasing that fat intake to just further kick that ketogenic state faster, to be able to get into ketosis faster is going to be really beneficial if we start loading up those fats and giving that body and the brain the fats that it needs and wants. And then using protein as a primary fuel source. So a lot of people, when they're in the ketogenic diet, they'll probably, instead of having 35% protein, about 60% protein, and fat will be flipped. So typically fat and protein are going to be flipped is a common issue. So you really need to work at making sure you're getting 60% of your diet, your dietary intake of fat. It's going to be hard. You need to, really work at it, but making sure we're not using that protein as our primary fuel source. We're using that fat intake as our primary fuel source. And the last thing here is ketoacidosis. So a lot of people ask, well, if I'm going to be on a ketogenic diet, do I have to worry about ketoacidosis? And we only have 3 main populations that need to be worried about this. If you're pregnant, if you're a severe alcoholic, or if you have diabetes. Because let me just tell you, so what happens is when we're in ketosis, it's going to alter our pH level. It's going to make our body more acidic. And in these special populations, they're unable to alter their blood glucose and their insulin level, which when you alter your blood glucose and insulin level, we're able to balance out that pH balance so we're not as acidic. But in these special populations, they're unable to stimulate their pancreas, or they're unable to increase their insulin or balance their blood glucose, so then they can become an acidic environment, and that's going to attribute to multiple conditions. So I hope this really helps today. If you know anyone that can benefit from this, please share this with them, because like I always say, we're in this together to become healthier and happier. Thank you for your time, and have a great day.